Wow. I mean, what an intro, right? Wow. Greetings, my friends, on this very historic day. Mm, mm, mm. Once again, it's so good to see you all here. There's too many to name. I'll just say hello, everybody, domestic and international. Man, it's so good to see you. All these dear friends and talented artists. Man, too many to name. It's so good to see you all here. So last night was a fun one. It was, yesterday was Bandcamp Friday. And I'm sure you all had your shopping carts filled with independent artists who you want to support. And bought a lot of stuff because remember, on Bandcamp Fridays, the artist gets 100% of the proceeds. So we are going to be listening to some of that music today. More on that later. But I'll just say that planning this date, I really had my doubts because I knew that election was Tuesday, and I feared that our world would be a little upside down right now, and would it even be appropriate to be having a show today if there was drama and madness going on. And as it turned out, I think it's just awesome that we have a show right now. This is not a political platform, obviously. I think, for a lot of us, needing an escape from the political climate that we've been in for the past months or 4 years, this show has been kind of an escape from that. It's been great. This is about music. But when George Floyd was killed, I felt I had to acknowledge on the show what was going on. And I feel very quickly that today I need to do the same. We need to acknowledge what happened this morning. Okay, Joe Biden is our next president-elect, and Kamala Harris our vice president-elect. And it's important to me to not make her the footnote for today, and also moving forward. Kamala Harris will be our first woman and also person of color in the second most important position in the country. And this is historical. It's historical with Trump and Biden. Shoot, I said his name. With our president and Biden. But with Kamala Harris, I think this is a really special story. Regardless of your political stance, I think you'd agree that it's been tiring to wake up every day and see the world have to react to the president's tweets. It's been tiring to see the adult world have to take on the rantings of a child seriously. The negativity, the hate, the racism, the bigotry, the ignorance, the exclusion that's divided this country farther than we've ever imagined is obviously not going to stop for this man. But after today, it's going to mean a little less. Biden has his work cut out for him, but I'm confident that the efforts are coming from a good person with values that include everyone. And that, I think, is where we need to stand, because if you're on the side that lost, today, I respect you, and I'm never going to rub this in your face. I want to be part of America with you. I see you. God, I promised, Gerald, I'm trying not to give any tears here. Okay, we're going to move on. To my international friends who've reached out in this past week and told me how you were watching minute by minute with us, I'm sorry and embarrassed that our mess is of interest to the world. And I can only hope that we'll be a better example of humanity as the world watches. Okay, that's all. I just needed to acknowledge today it's a big one. So thank you. And I promise no more politics for today. Okay? Let's just get right into it. Okay? We're just going to get right into it. Okay? Here we go. Our first performer comes to us from Norway. Mr. Stian Højbjerg performs as Analog Monoxide. Analog Monoxide is the working alias of Stian Højbjerg. He's a musician and producer from Norway. The music released under this banner is typically a huge mix of various influences over the years, ranging ranging from experimental electronica to acoustic jazz. Composition usually happens in his home studio and is a very free-form process. He was a piano player at an early age, and he's worked for over 20 years, honing his skills on guitars, vocals, drums, percussions, keyboards, synthesizers, and so much more. A constant state of creation since he was young. Wow, I can relate. Developing his musicality by playing whatever instrument he could get his hands on and taking music classes or lessons wherever he could find them. Discovering computers and their capabilities for creating music eventually led to teaching himself how to produce music and also became part of the writing process. Love this guy. So, here we go. Analog Monoxide, coming to you from Norway. Stian, we
Hey,
are live, my friend.
awesome. And
Thanks so much for joining.
thanks so much for having me and for making this happen.
Uh, I mean, what a nice way to start our show. It's perfect. So,
It's a historical
tell
day.
us a
Thank you
little
for
bit.
having me.
So, tell us a little bit about your patch and how you came to this beautiful piece.
Oh, well, I stood in front of this thing and then I had a bunch of wires and then I thought, what happens if I plug this in here? I really don't have any plans. Like I just kind of
Yeah.
start with sound design and trying to find a sound and then I take it from there. It's always like a
Mm-hmm.
building. Um, yeah. Even with structured music, like if I'm writing music outside Modular, I never have a clear ID where I'm going before I'm starting. So I can start trying to do electronica and I'll end up recording blues or not something entirely different. So,
Mm-hmm. Now, you and I talked about like structured music versus free form and abstract, like
yeah.
working with voltage versus working with more traditional instruments, which you've done a lot of.
hmm
You want to talk about some of that relationship?
Yeah, I'm thinking a lot about that recently now because I've just started getting into Bitwig. Like I always
Mm-hmm.
started with, I got into like, I realized my computer was capable of making music and could run like software synthesizers and gear that I didn't have access
Yeah.
to.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time that I was studying traditional instruments and music theory. So I kind of always explored both. Um, so when I get my hands on modular gear now, I kind of just start go off. It's like you can just go on a journey exploring, and you end up with
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
tapestry of stuff that just interacts with everything. And I don't know, it's a really unique thing. And it's such a completely opposite approach than approaching it from like music theory or like sitting there with a piano or something. It's just a completely different approach, which I find
Mm-hmm.
very it's amazing what you can do in terms of sound design. But then I miss like I have a bunch of West Coast modules behind me, but then I want to make more structured music with it, which is kind of like a weird thing. But so lately now I'm moving towards Bitwig and I'm aiming at the ES8 to like integrate everything together.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want to do now,
So you don't have
like
the
a
expert
hybrid
sleepers
setup.
connection right now?
No, this was all live, just machines. This was just clocked from Pamela's new workout, I think, was
Mm-hmm.
driving the whole patch, and then that drives the DFM and yes, everything. I
Mm-hmm.
think Pamela's runs everything on this patch.
And then you're
And
recording into Bitwig.
no, this was using the Zoom behind me.
Oh
Because that
wow.
was my attempt at like a DAW-less setup, or like when I
Mm-hmm.
got access to some hardware. It was nice to like step away from the computer and not look at a screen
Mm-hmm.
and kind of just, everyone who spends this much on these toys with all the knobs, they know what it's about. It's
Yeah.
uh, it's just lovely having like a physics with. But then I miss kind of the ability to structure everything and like have a visual structure and arrangement that you have with a DAW. So that's
Mm-hmm.
where Bitwig is coming in now lately.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm
And
working
just
on
the
currently.
and just the modulation capabilities that can come from Bitwig through like the ES8 or ES9 into modular is just
Yeah.
it's exciting to think about. I don't own Bitwig, but I've really thought about that, hybrid connection, and that could be pretty powerful. Yeah.
hmm I'm just starting to scrape the surface of it. Like I was reluctant to change DAWs because mostly do the same thing. It's mostly about like what interface you like working with. But I
Right.
needed the capabilities of Bitwig. So now I'm in the process of like forcing myself through working with new and like just doing it until it becomes second nature again. And
Mm-hmm.
but I have to say Bitwig is really good. I have version 3 now,
Yeah.
and it's gotten really good.
I saw it demoed this last year at NAMM, and this woman gave me like probably 40 minutes of just real patient, like stepping through everything, and it just looks amazing. But like you, I'm kind of
Oh, yeah.
scared to jump ship and make a big shift, you know.
Yeah, it is nice at the point where you can just like sit down and everything is second nature. But it can be
Right.
nice to actually force yourself to change things up like that as well.
Yeah, yeah.
It
Mm-hmm.
is. And that's why like you get a new synthesizer or something, you may be inspired to start doing new things. It comes down to a
Right.
lot the interface, I think, like because
Right.
a lot of them have the same capabilities and like sound, but you interact with them differently. So
Yeah. That's my fear is that I've been Cubase guy for 20 years,
right.
and you know, you pick one and you go with it and you learn it, and
Yeah.
doesn't need to be the best one, but it's like your one.
Yeah.
So I'm nervous to change that workflow, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I was very reluctant. I spent a lot of time before but I also used the Rolly stuff, the C boards, and I won an
Oh yeah.
MPE.
Mm-hmm.
So then your options are Cubase is actually very good with that Bitwig. I tried using Reaper, which is great, but I was just spending so much time trying to make it cooperate, so I gave up in the end.
Mm-hmm.
That's great software
Reaper is
too, though.
strangely deep also.
It's amazing,
Like
honestly,
it's
especially for the
amazing.
price. It's really good software. I
Yeah,
It just
yeah.
didn't get along with me. All right.
I felt same way, yeah.
Yeah, we just couldn't get along. But I'm not kicking it in anyway. It's amazing. Props to Cocos.
What's on the horizon for you, man? What's next?
I am working on an EP with a German singer named Melanie Klee. And that's I'm working on the mastering end of the process now.
Hmm.
And so that's in the imminent future.
That's great.
And then
Is that full length or EP or?
we'll see by the time I get done with it.
Yeah.
Like I'm kind of taking my time. It's a very massive mix. It's so it's really putting me to the test as a producer. Like I had to sit down and just study production and like effects change and mastering and like all the
Mm-hmm.
technical things I don't really, I'm not really that eager to get into, but I just have to. So I've been doing that
Yeah.
for a bit now,
That's
and
great.
it's starting to get there. The work is paying off. So it's been a bit of that for a while now. So really looking forward to putting that up. There's not too
You
much
think by the end of the year?
modular on that though. There's a little bit of no cost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it will be soon. I think I'll just
Okay.
call it an EP. Like it will be 5 tracks, I think, and we'll just call it an EP and the release it, and then I can like move on and work on new stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Sounds great, man. Can I ask you what's the weather like in Norway right now? I'm sure it's lovely and very warm and
man.
sunny.
Yeah, it's lush and warm, and the polar bears are like walking around the palm trees outside and wearing sunshades. No, it's
Right.
kind of wet and dark outside.
Well, when you and I talked, you were telling me that you live
It's great
like, I
weather.
mean, you're
Great weather for sitting inside with the modular.
right, but you live like
Sorry.
seriously like in the fjords,
Yeah. I'm right
right?
in between the fjords and the mountains and the fjords on the west coast. Yeah.
Can you imagine? Oh,
So
man.
it is lovely when it's like not raining.
All right, thank you, my friend. It's just great to see you again,
Likewise,
and
man.
just thanks for coming on the show, man.
It's great. Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to seeing what all the other guys contributed today. I've been looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's a good one. Mm-hmm. All right, man. We'll stay in touch.
Right. Awesome. Cheers.
All right. Stian Højbjerg coming from Norway.
Thanks for all the kind words, guys. Enjoy the show.
All right. Great stuff. I would like to greet all of our viewers who have joined us since the show started. It's great to have you. You're watching Modular World. I'm your host, John O'Wells. And if you just joined, you missed my heartfelt acknowledgement of this historic day. So perhaps go back and watch the beginning of the show. Or don't. I don't know. Okay, let's move on. Next we have Andrea Lamana coming to us from Germany. Andrea Lamana is the name of the audio-visual project by Aldo Lamana and his wife, Andrea. He makes the music and she takes care of the visual concepts and the aesthetic. Aldo is American-born, Venezuelan-raised, Spanish naturalized, music producer, audio engineer, based in Hamburg, Germany. He spent most of his life in Caracas, Venezuela, where he toured extensively with several bands and live electronic music acts, contributing to the birth of the local drum and bass scene, and recording several award-winning albums. In 2012, he toured Europe, taking the opportunity to move to Germany. He started from scratch with a backpack and a laptop in hand, and it took him some years to gather some synths and make music again, combined with the timing of the eurorack boom in Germany. This project was born in January 2020, and this is the first time that he's ever performed live. See what happens on this show? We're not here to mess around. Man, that is what I'm talking about. Nice job, man. Wow. Are you with us, Aldo? He's with us. He just doesn't know it yet. Hello, Aldo. He might be listening to the YouTube feed, which isn't over yet. Are you there? Are you there, brother? Man, I can't wait to ask him all these questions, which you guys were asking him, like the sequencing and... Oh, man. Are you with us, brother? Am I muted? What's going on here? I'm not muted. Aldo. We cannot hear you, man. Give him a second.
Yes. Jono.
There he is.
Technicalities.
There he is.
Always happens. Sorry, man. How's it going?
It's all good. I was like, I'm just going to wait for him. He'll join us.
I'm here. Just waiting. How's it going?
So the people were pretty excited with your set, man.
Yes, man. That was...
Wow. It's a way to get us moving. Jeez.
Thank you so much. And I really appreciate the comments and thanks. Yeah, I mean, it was a long journey to put all together, I must say.
And this was your first time playing out live?
With this project, yes. And with Modular, definitely. Yes, definitely. So the thing is that I have some experience playing live with bands, but never with Modular. So for example, I have no mixers. So I had to like filter everything. And so there were no volumes like per se, just chopping everything out basically. And then also to put everything together, how to put everything with the melodic, the rhythm. Yeah, so it was very hard to put together, but it was amazing. And I had to thank you because of this. Because if it was not for you, I would probably not put this together, I must say.
Nice job. Somebody was asking about the sequencing. How you doing that?
So basically...
you got the beat step there.
Let's say two parts, the rhythm part and then the melodic part. So in the rhythm part, it's the beat step, just taking care of everything. And basically it's the tip-top audio drums, except the kick drum is not the 909 clone, but it's the tip-top C3000 MK2. And there's actually a video from Toby Neumann explaining how to use this tip-top audio module, which is an oscillator, with the maths, and then you get like a very good kick, and I recommend that. So that was the inspiration. And yeah, so basically that is all the rhythms is tip-top and beat step. And I did a little bit of some snare rolls with the Basimus Iteritas from Noise Engineering. Less than I should have done, but it was, yeah, I didn't have too much time. But that module is so amazing that just to have some snare drums, it's just like cheating. Some snare, just, yeah, for snare, it's just very minimum. So I love that module. And apart from that, the melodic part, that was mostly, and yeah, so the steel song hammer from Industrial Electronics, which I really, really love. I'm not gonna see it too much, but it's really, that's the brain of all melodies. And this basically is 4 tracks with 4 CVs. And so it's the main bass is the Atlantis, and that goes just through a filter. And that's the kind of like 303 kind of bass that you hear. And in the intro, and also throughout the whole gig, the Localic Iteritas is going throughout, but it's being modulated with CV Toolkit, which is a software which is very, very good software for modulars. And then going to a cloud, and that is being side chained. So that's why every time the kick hits, it just goes out. And that change with the steel song hammer, with the patches of the steel song hammer, and that is like the glue of the whole thing. So it's always there, but you cannot, sometimes it's noise, sometimes it's melodies. So that combination is really good. And then the chainsaw from Acid Rain Technology was a big part of it, for sure.
chainsaw.
Yeah, yeah, I wait a lot for that, but it's definitely worth it. So small and so
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah. I love that one too.
And then apart from that, I use the Moog. So the Slim Fatty, which is very nice one. I love this one. And then this is mostly because I was controlling with the Stilson hammer. It could not make bass, so it will accept some range of CV. It was kind of limited, so that's why it was so high pitch all the time. But at the end, it worked really well, I think. And then the K2 from Behringer was basically the sub, and that comes and goes, and sometimes you cannot hear it, sometimes it's very present. So that's a very good one also. And yeah, apart from that, it's just gates and low pass filters and basically yeah, low pass gates also. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm so glad to hear you talk about Loquelic, because the people who know me here know that that's like one of my favorite voices.
Yeah,
Loquelic is such a Swiss Army knife.
you gotta love it. I love it.
It's so slippery and it's all over.
Yes,
It's great.
and if you CV it, then it becomes really amazing. Like, so yeah, and well, yeah, noise engineering is famous for this, I think. I mean, it's really very inspiring, and you can get some very strange rhythmic stuff that I love. Yes, yes, yes. And once, it's hard to know it at first, but after a while, you kind of know what's gonna make. Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a friend who needs oscillators to really track a lot clearer, and he was like, "Man, the Loquelic is nuts. I can't tame it." And I'm like, "Don't tame it.
Yes.
Don't worry about taming it.
It's true.
Let it rip."
Like, well, yeah, what I do, I put it through a low pass gate, and basically I do the dynamics with a counter from Make Noise, which is discontinued. Both are discontinued, but I love them because they're so sharp. So another thing I was controlling the dynamics also, well, the contour controlling the dynamics with the architect, but not as an arpeggiator, but with the basically the rhythm part. And that's why it's always changing rhythms also. And I could just with one knob change from 16s to triplets and just whatever. And that also have some CV, some random CV sometime. So that will change, of course, everything very human-like. Like it was very percussive. So I love it. If you can control it also with a low pass gate, it's amazing. By itself, it's a beast, but it's amazing for bass also. Yeah.
All right, can your wife come in and talk to us on these amazing visuals?
Yeah, she just came up to say the microphone is, you cannot hear. I think she's on the room. Maybe she wants to come, but basically she helps with all the visual part. These visuals were, she was pretty busy at this time and were mainly taken from a friend of mine from Caracas named Nestor Villasmil. And he provided like 4 clips, and then we put them together with DaVinci Resolve, which is a free software great for video. And so if she's not coming at this time, it's probably she will not come because YouTube probably is streaming that, and she knows you that she should be here.
She's like, I don't want to touch this. I'm good.
I don't know, yeah. But yeah, I mean, she really helps with all the concept. And for example, like yesterday, so I didn't have anything so far released. So we planned, okay, we need to release something for this day because it's a special day. First time live, first time the project. So we were yesterday just making the artwork, and she also helped with the letters and all the artwork. The artwork was made by another friend called Felicia. I mean, we have many friends which are artists, and we just kind of like put everything together. What I can say is that apart from the visuals, which we have many collaborations, just to not keep it boring in a way, the musical part, it's basically only this apart from that. Yeah. But the visuals that we are always, she is just basically helping with the concept, but we are always working with different artists also, because sometimes we don't have all the time to make all this. Yes. It took me a long time.
Yeah, the visuals are just awesome.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, I think she's coming this now, like right now.
Great.
And she has a Q-Ways sweater. But so I guess.
Hi, Andrea. Hi, Andrea. Everybody loved your visuals. Just awesome.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
And thanks, Nestor, for
We
that.
have to applaud our friend Nestor in Caracas. Really, I help more with the visuals for the EP out now today for the first
Today.
time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you could hear it then. Cheers. Bye.
Nice job.
Yeah. So we thought, oh, I mean, because everybody asks, well, how about the music? And then, so today there's an EP in Bandcamp, 4
Beautiful.
songs, and yeah, it's free. So just to get it if you want. And thank you for
But
this.
it's a name your price thing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so we're not going to get it for free. We're going to support you.
Yo,
This link is below. Everybody who's watching, all the artists, all their links are below in the description to their Instagram, to their Bandcamps. And even though Bandcamp Day was yesterday, that's fine. You can still support these artists today.
Jono, I mean, if it was not for you, there was no EP and no live set and no visual. So thank you, man, for doing this. Like, it's so amazing.
Amen.
And you are just gathering all these people together, and we're not going anywhere. So thank you for this.
I'm not either. I mean,
Cool.
this pandemic, could end like tomorrow, and this show is going to live on. I mean, the relationships are there. The talent is there. The people are everywhere. It's just, yeah.
Thank you, man. For sure.
I've created a monster.
I think so. Yes.
No, you're a good man. Thanks so
Thank
much
you, man.
for coming and doing this. Yeah.
Thank everybody.
And nice to meet your wife too. That was sweet.
Thank you, man. Peace. We'll be in touch.
All right, my brother. We'll talk soon.
Cheers.
Oh, what a gentleman. All right, so Andrea Lamana from Germany. That was special. I could like see the faces melting in the chat. That was just dope. Dope. All right, for those of you who have joined, this is Modular World. I'm your host, Jono Wells. And you know what? I think it's time to pull out the new segment in this show. All right? I've threatened this. It's going to happen. It's called New Music. See what I'm talking about? Oh. All right, let's do this. So, new segment in the show. We're going to talk about new music that's going on here. So here we go. This was just released this week on Errorgrid, and one of the newest artists on Errorgrid. And we welcome Black Moth. Just awesome. Those of you who have followed his stuff, he's been putting out really cool stuff for a while. And Olivier got Black Moth on Errorgrid. This is out on Bandcamp right now. All the links are underneath in the descriptions. Okay? I'm going to move quickly through these. I'm going to have to figure out how to do this a little smoother next time with the fade-ins and the fade-outs. Okay. We also have, I was playing it at the intro of the show. We've got, from Halloween, Olivier released the show. So it was half of New York Modular and half Errorgrid artists. There's 15 tracks. Each of us played for 10 minutes. I'm on this. Calatrix is on this. A lot of people in the chat are on this. So this is worth some time. Our brother Gerald Fjord released this recently. This is his most recent, and it's an amazing blend of his magic with a live drummer. Unbelievable record from Gerald Fjord. All these are linked below in the descriptions. All right. Nice job, sir. Also, this one I'm really excited about. Those of you might know Heyman. She's been, I think she's sponsored by Teenage Engineering. I'm not sure. She was doing some work for them last year. Just amazing. Lots of vocals and just crazy talented lady from from Australia. And it sounds a little like this. Yeah, I've talked to her on Instagram. I want her to be on this show. If any of you know her, reach out. Tell her she's got to do it. Gorgeous voice. Her stuff always just kills me. Anyway, this is her first release, and on her Bandcamp page, I love this. She described this album like this. She said this is the album where she found her voice, her ambient sound, and a community which she loves dearly. Awesome. All right, please consider supporting Heyman on Bandcamp, linked below. And on the note of something for the community, I released this this past week. It's an EP of 3 long-form tracks. And this I've called my love letter to the Eurorack community. I'm not going to play any of this because they're all 40-minute tracks and they're experimental improvs. But, you know, this is really my love letter to the community because people in this chat, people in my life who I talk to every day have really encouraged me to be myself and to make the music that's coming out. And, man, thank you. This is for you. It's pay what you want or just download it for free. This is for you. Thank you. This next one's very special to me. My dear friend, Jason Raker, The Surging Mass. Okay. He is cooped up in a hotel room in Gary, Indiana right now on a work trip. And this is like one of the most like prolific Instagram posters we've all known. We've seen him grow his rack since June or something. Like late spring was when he started, maybe March, April. And this is his first release. Brother, I just couldn't be more proud, you know, for you for getting this out. And then like a day after he released this, he dropped a single also. The Surging Mass on Bandcamp right now. Awesome. I'm so happy for you, man. Also, I believe in the chat right now is our brother Itai. Man, this guy, he just does not stop. He did something yesterday on YouTube that was like it was a cover of Jane's Addiction's Mountain Song. This guy, upcoming Modular World performance, Itai. Just nobody does it like Itai. If you've seen him live on all of the festivals and shows which have been in the past months, jaw dropper stuff every time. Total rock star among us, Itai. This was released yesterday. All right, there you have it. The new music segment on Modular World. Thanks for bearing with me. I'll try to make that a little smoother and better produced next time. All right. Oh, that was fun. Okay. Did I do it? Did I pull it off? I think I did. All right. Just so happy for all of you and the music which you're releasing. I'm just, yeah. I was talking last night on the Colorado Bandcamp show, which I sat on with Calatrix and Tim from Modular Modcast, and of course Sign Mountain, who hosted it, and who else? David. We had Snowden, and Gerald sat on that for a minute. And man, I'm not buying music anymore from the regular world. It's all, or whatever that means. It's all coming from Bandcamp, from people who I know and love and want to support, and new artists who come into our world. I just love the community. Okay, we're moving on. So speaking of community, our next performer is Mr. Dave Pollan, coming from Seattle, who performs as WabiSabi. Now, the Pacific Northwest has a scene unlike any other. I'd love to think that in SoCal we have a great big scene. I mean, we do. And all the manufacturers down here, they're all buds of ours. We're all tight. New York has a great scene. Houston, Austin, obviously Colorado. But the Pacific Northwest, if there was a contest for amount of talent and amount of people and amount of manufacturers, I got to give it to PNW. And Dave Pollan has been a part of that scene, been a mainstay in that scene. You'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, David, but I would say probably since forever, right? Great guy. So photographer, woodworker, electronic musician, and trained sound engineer. David studied in Japan for many years, which is the source of his performer name, WabiSabi, as well as much of his artistic style. He's lived in many places all around the globe, and he likes to embrace and incorporate a diverse range of sounds and rhythms into his music. Dave Pollan performs as WabiSabi. Oh no, you didn't with those last Cocteau Twins chords. Oh my God. You're killing me, man. Are you muted still? Oh, sorry. Yeah, let me unmute you in Zoom. Hold on. All right, we should have. Yeah, there you go. Thanks, man. Thanks so much.
Quite welcome.
That was beautiful. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Would you tell me really quickly about those ending chords? Like, did you make those and fly them into Morphogene? I know you're a Morphogene guy like myself.
The undulating ones, the really quick up and down.
Those last Cocteau Twins strums.
Oh yeah, that came from. Those are from Rings, I think.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
Whew. Yeah, you just brought us all to a level of peace here, man.
Yeah. Well, Andrea did that set before me, and I'm going like, oh, everyone's going to be, so hyped up and everything ready to go, and then my set comes in, and people are going to be like, time to take a nap.
Nah, but you know how this community goes. Like, we love it all.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
We love it all.
As I mentioned in the chat, I had just done a really heavy percussion heavy set just before this,
Yeah.
and to record it for another performance. And I decided, you know what, I really got to do something just to bring it all down and chill out a little bit. So yeah, that's what I did.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said for like the creative cold shower experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. I try to do that as much as I can, where I try to like move in a whole new direction after something, so I can just kind of shake it off. Yeah, good for you. This had a beautiful pace to it. So much going on.
Thanks.
How do you how do you construct something like this? How do you approach it?
Well, for this set, I knew that I wanted to put some piano in there. So I had the Distinct EX, which just came out, which has a soft piano in it. And I started using that. So that was being sequenced. And then just an accompaniment to the piano, I wanted that real kind of, that heavy bass guitar, like a baritone guitar, strumming coming in, just to kind of offset it, or kind of a voice and reply type of thing. So I just wanted something to set kind of the 1-2 beat and have some percussion come in with some toms coming in after that. Just let it play out, really.
So nice. Thanks. Speaking of piano, you've got a video on YouTube, which I wrote you about too, that was like piano and Morphogene.
Morphogene one, yeah.
For anybody who wants a fresh perspective or a little shake about Morphogene, man, I love that piece. That's such a great video.
It's such a great module. I mean, it's
yeah.
Thanks for the compliment. Yeah, the video was kind of fun. Somebody actually asked for that. Somebody on a forum somewhere said, "Hey, wonder how a piano would sound through it." So I put up that video, and it's just me playing a major chord, separated, gaps in between the notes. I forgot what you call that, arpeggiated. And then you play it to the Morphogene, and the smearing that you can get, and then with
the splice markers.
With the splice markers, and then the transposition of the grains and everything, just makes for really, really great sound. Morphogene.
It's just such a simple technique, and I was just like, oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like coming end of cycle gate into organize, where it just like goes through them, like in a row.
Right.
I never knew it did that.
Yeah.
There was a couple points in that video that were like, oh, it does what?
Yeah, exactly.
It was great.
Yeah.
Great video.
So if you have a sample in Morphogene, that's a long sample, and it's split up into different splices. If you hook up the end of splice back into the what's it called? You just said it.
Organized.
Yeah, into the organized CV input, it'll go on to the next splice. Yeah, it's really cool.
Like, I never knew that. I mean, not that I'm a real RTFM kind of guy, but I for sure didn't know that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's a couple other techniques in that too, and I can't think of them right now. But I mean, it's not a long video, but it was just like, there was like 3 little aha moments just for me.
Yeah.
Anybody who's a Morphogene user, find this one on. Is your YouTube channel WabiSabi?
DB Paulin. DB Paulin.
Okay,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So what's next for you, man? What are you doing?
I just finished putting a track together about a week ago. It's just been mastered. That's going to go on a vinyl compilation coming out hopefully by the end of the year. Mastering's done, so that'll be coming out pretty soon. I'm working on an album. I already have a lot of the tracks together that I had done previously. I'm going to redo quite a bit of them. That hopefully I'll have out by very early next year, possibly middle of January or so. And live performance-wise, nothing happening on that front. So just trying to do as much streaming as I can. Doing a lot of kind of experimentation stuff over on the Earth Modular channel.
Yeah, what's going on with that?
That's just a fun channel. I'll have to.
It's so cool.
It is fun. I mean, if you have like an idea in mind for your rack and you just want to bounce it off a few people as you're patching, even anybody can stream to it. It's fun, and they save the streams, and
it's amazing.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
I mean, okay. So for the people who don't know, this is our brother in the Netherlands, right? Who's running that?
UK, Schmooster, right? He's in the UK.
Oh, yeah. Schmooster's in the UK?
Yeah, he's in the UK. Yeah.
Oh, I thought he was Netherlands.
Yeah. Pretty sure he's in the UK.
Schmooster, if you're watching, I'm sorry, man. We've had a lot of messages, and I should absolutely know where you're from. I thought maybe he is UK. Anyway, great guy.
Yeah.
And he started Earth Modular. That's a 24-hour-a-day stream.
Right.
And you just show up on the Discord and say, yo, I'm cool. It's sort of like being in a bar and walking up to the pool table and putting your quarters down. It's the same concept.
It's an open mic, basically.
So like, I'm ready.
Yeah, it's an open mic.
Right.
And all you have to do is join the Discord stream and say, hey, I want to come in and play something for everyone. And usually there's just 5 or 6 people in there. And they'll say, yeah, come on in. And you'll get a key and you can stream and get feedback. It's, just the other day, I did a whole patch from scratch.
I've got to do, man, I got to show up and play there.
Yeah. It was fun. And by the end of the patch, cool. I mean, I was 27 minutes into it and the patch finally came all together and I played for about 5 minutes. It was great. It was a great patch too. Loved it.
It's like my daughter's playing with Barbies, right? It's like 2 hours of setup and then like 10 minutes of actual play.
Yeah. Then you pull the arms off of Ken. Yeah.
Right. And then Ken goes down.
Yeah.
So you patched for half an hour and then just ripped it for 5?
Yeah. So I patched mostly the percussion together. I was actually using the trying to get acquainted with the Swan, right? Shout out to Hugo if he's out there listening. And so I had this patch together for Swan, and then I said, oh, this needs some percussion. So went on the circadian rhythms and just started patching all the percussion together. And at 24 minutes, it was finally coming in with something. And at 27 minutes, I figured out that was about it. And jammed for another 5 minutes or something. That was it. That was fun.
That sounds great. I got to do one of those. Yeah. All right. You and I have been chatting recently about the new Benjamin by Afterlater. Yeah. So let's just give that just a few minutes here. Like, how excited are you about a new Benjamin?
So I don't know if you saw the video that I did on the first one that Afterlater did. So I had a video.
On V1?
Yeah. So I did a video on that.
I didn't?
Yeah.
Shoot. How did I miss that?
I don't know, man. It's out there.
Oh, man.
It's on my YouTube channel.
I'm lost in Morphogene land.
I just talked with Lenny at Afterlater today. He's going to start putting all those videos up on the Afterlater website. So, but then, so he came out with, he's been talking with Rob Jordyke for many months on doing a version 2, just including some extra feedback circuits, the Wrangler function, the breakout for the Turing machine going on to it. And he just got a licensing deal, I think about a month ago, started producing them. And within the first 2 days, he's like sold out of every single one, as you found out.
Well, yeah, I mean, I found mine at Patchworks, and I know that that Perfect Circuit also has them, but obviously I would say to anybody who's interested, get them from Patchworks because it's your smaller local place.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
For sure, support smaller shops first.
But Benjamin is just this, to be perfectly honest, it's not really a module for me because it's really almost a chaos generator in a way. I mean, it's a very structured chaos. I think that's how I put it in the video. but it's a lot of fun to play with, and version 2 just probably doubles the amount of possibilities that it can do just internally, interpatching. It's just a fun module. Yeah, it really is.
I'm a fan. I had the Epoch modular version, and something with like 5 or like 8 outputs, and they were not, there were some that were just so screaming loud, and some you could barely hear, and they were all like over the map.
Yeah.
And some of them I just didn't use just because they were so hot,
Right.
so hot. Adam Ritchie is saying, dig the Benjamin, another Benjamin brother.
Yeah.
We did this little, not a challenge, but like a kind of a back and forth thing where it was like Benjamin into Mimeophone.
Oh yeah.
And just like nothing clocked, just kind of manual, just twiddling and tripping.
Say anything in the Mimeophone. It's just.
Oh yeah. Well, there were 3 of us who were passing this around, and Adam was the one who started it, I believe. Anyway, so there was, out of those 8 outputs, I didn't use but 3 of them just because they were so loud, and I couldn't harness them. They were just not enjoyable. So I'm excited that the V2 from After Later, all the outputs are Eurorack level.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
And it's got a clock.
It's definitely.
Just saying.
It's not as gnarly as the first one, probably. It's a little bit more controllable, but you can still get some just really chaotic stuff out of it. Yeah.
Well, it's forever going to be a chaos oscillator if Hordike's got his name on it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right.
But it's fun. Yeah, it is definitely fun.
I can't wait. I like tracked my shipment earlier, and it comes Thursday.
Oh, well, you already got the tracking. All right, cool.
Yeah, but see, I have a performance on Saturday, and I'm like, I'm not going to do it to myself. Like I'm not going to put it in and try to work it in.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not going to go there.
It takes a little while to get a module as complex as that. You don't want to rush into it. I got the.
Well, I had a solid year, like with the Epoch.
Yeah.
But I think I'm not even going to rack it. I'm going to wait until Sunday.
Yeah, I got. I just got the Swan and the Ensemble, both 4MS modules, a few weeks ago, and I was going to start doing video with it and something, and I thought, you know what, I need to take this away from my rack and just play with it like in a skiff somewhere. So I went out camping for 3 days by myself in the middle of nowhere with some battery packs and those 2 modules and some modulation sources, and just sat down and got to know them for 3 days straight.
This is a conversation I have with so many people who do the same thing. I do the same thing. Little focus skiff. Yeah.
I did a Modular on the Mountain video with that, so that'll be coming out pretty soon. Yeah.
You and I talked about that like 5 months ago, man. I've been waiting to have you on this show. Thank you so much for making it happen.
Yeah, you got to do it. Anybody wants to do a Modular on the Mountain, come on up or just do it where you're at. I already have about 4 videos done on it. DivKid still has to send me his, but he's got one that he's done when he was here. But
Pacific Northwest, man, shooting Modular on the mountain.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
See what I'm
surrounded by
about?
snow and everything's great. It's fun.
What is it like there right now? Is it cold yet?
It was 43 degrees today. That's the high, and a little misty. Yeah, but beautiful.
It's crazy that we're in the same time zone, right?
Yeah. What is it down there?
I don't know. The Beach Boys are playing outside. There's like surfing. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it's 70.
Yeah.
It's got to be over 70.
Yeah. No, it's definitely fall going into winter here right now. It's beautiful.
Yesterday we ran our AC.
Oh, that's sick. Yeah.
I mean, come on.
We had the fireplace on.
I'd love to come up and visit you guys. I mean, it's it's gonna happen.
Anytime, you're welcome. I got a guest bedroom for you. Come up and stay.
I know, and same here, man. I'd love to have you down here
someday when this craziness ends.
Once we get it going again, we'll do something.
Yeah, but we did have a glimmer of hope today, so things will get better from here.
Hey.
Yeah.
Not a glimmer even. It was like a full-on flash of hope. Right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that is true. Yep.
All right, brother. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for listening. Appreciate your kind words.
All right, man. Dave Pollan, WabiSabi. All right, I'm going to put you back in the waiting room, Dave.
Okay.
Or you can feel free to log out of Zoom if you'd like. Wow, what a great show. Man, nice. Calatrix says that New York is 63, but you guys are going to have snow soon. Ay, ay, ay. Chris says it's 70 in Arizona. Okay. All right, moving on. Brian Horsfield is from Colorado. He performs as the Aefonic. If any of you guys have seen this guy play live, you know what's about to happen. All right. Originally from the UK, a small town near Manchester. He, like myself, we grew up following lots of Manchester bands like Joy Division, New Order, and the Smiths. Yes, I just crossed myself. He owned a small recording studio in Nottingham in the UK, focused on creating ambient music in the early 90s. He was featured on the now classic Emit label with several tracks under the artist name of Gas and Milan. This is great. Are you ready? He released an album on Emit with a close friend, Matt Jarvis, under Gas artist name in 1995. A very great time for the early days of IDM. A few years later, the album was called a classic seminal ambient album by Brian Eno. In an interview, and sales went berserk, they had to produce a new CD run. That album is linked below. I have little sections for each of the performers, their Instagram and Bandcamp and all that. This album is on Spotify and is linked below. You might want to check it out. I'll just say that. He moved to the U.S. in 2000, lives in Boulder, working in tech. He always focused on electronic music, mainly composition. Moved away from hardware and went 100% modular in 2014. He spends as much time as possible composing and playing live. All right, here we go. The Aefonic. Brian.
Hey, man.
There's just so much to unpack here.
Hi.
I mean, this is like a lesson in composition. This is like masterclass stuff going on here.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that, but I've been
Well,
watching
take a
everything
compliment.
else, so I feel a little bit amateur in some respects, but whatever. We do the best we can.
Right. And the visuals too. Okay. So when you approach a long form track like this with this kind of composition, where you started, where you took us, where it ended, how do you approach something like that?
Well, that's a really interesting question for me. I think like Analog, who was first on, I come from a background of sort of structured songs, right? I grew up listening to lots of structured songs. And so that's the
Right.
way I think about these things. When I'm composing, I think in a very structured way. And funnily enough, even with Modular, I sort of think about the thing before I start it. I know a lot of people go to Modular and just sort of start playing and come up with fantastic compositions. I sort of don't do that. I tend to go to it with a bit of an idea about what I'm looking for, and then I build it from there. Now, but the really funny thing is, it never ends up being what it sounded like in my head originally, but at least I go to it with this sort of structured way. So
Right.
the way that a lot of the modular world sort of plays out is we play these long tracks, right? I mean, that was 20 minutes that you just heard. I hope it wasn't too dull for people. But 20 minutes is an album side, right? I mean, when I was growing up, that's half of an album we just made
Right.
up and just played. So you have to put a lot of effort into creating that. So I think I break it up. Basically, what I do is I think of like multiple 5-minute sections, and then I work out how to transition them into each other, and that's pretty much how I put those things together. And that has been the same for everything I've done in Modular, really.
Well, I mean, your sensibilities are just so listenable. It's really a pleasure just to watch it unfold. It's great.
Well, thank you. Do you know what I think we see this. I think we see this through your show, through Modular World. I mean, I've watched, I think, every one of them, and you just see fantastic artists, playing fantastic things. And I think Modular helps with that, because I think the richness of the instruments, right? The richness of the electronics really helps people. It certainly helps me. It helps me get through things that are not so great, because the electronics sound so fantastic. They will help you compose and create compelling things to listen to. That's what I find. That's why I think things like drone tracks, I can listen to drone tracks for 40 minutes. Almost nothing goes on, but I love it, and I think that's down to the
me
actual
too.
instrument.
So we're all gassing pretty hard on your Lyra, damn it.
Yeah, well, I'm gassing hard on Gerald Fjord's Pulsar 23. I've been on the waiting list now for some months, and there's no sign of it coming. The Lyra is great, and as you saw, it featured a lot through that whole track. I really like it a lot. There's a lot more I can do with it, and I've been experimenting with it in these last few weeks, in actual fact, and we'll see some of that, and hopefully in some of the things I put out in the not too distant future. But I think Soma as a company are doing some revolutionary things.
Totally. When you got it, how did it change your workflow? How did you work it in?
Well, it changed the workflow completely because you sort of play it live, right? There's no ability. Right. It's not got MIDI or anything like that. It's not even really got any proper sort of CV or gate in. There are very rudimentary things that you can do with it at that level, but they don't play. It doesn't track pitch, for instance, you know. So the thing that really changed is you actually have to use it as an instrument, a live instrument, and you actually have to tune it and play it. So in the thing we just saw, you saw me pretty much playing it all the way through. But the interesting thing for me was it was what started the track. I was messing around with, so it was put through a few effects to create quite a thick sound. But it was what actually started the beginning of that track for me. I played some stuff, and that's actually where it came from a composition standpoint. And it's also deceptive because you think, oh, it's just got these not even touch sensitive, got these pads, you know, the conductive pads on it, so it can just go on and off. But it's actually not like that. You can finesse the pads. You can you saw me like stroking the pads. I don't know if that's just a weird thing, but that's what I love to do. It's almost like aftertouch on a keyboard or something. You know, you can actually finesse it better than people think, I think.
That sounds great.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, who wouldn't want to caress the pads of a Lyra? You know.
Well, yeah.
I mean, it just sounds great.
Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't?
Back to composition with your 5-minute structures.
Yeah.
What's your favorite way to build transitions? Like, what's your go-to? Or do you have one?
Well, that's the hardest part, right? I find that the 5-minute bit is easy. I think we all probably know that, right? We can all curate 5-minute sketches or whatever pretty easily.
Right.
The hard bit is how the hell do you get between one to the other, right? That's always the real trick.
Yeah.
And that's and I'll be honest, the real way for me is the mixer. At the end of the day, I have the WMD performance mixer, and you know we're all good friends with the WMD folks. I'm in Boulder, so you know I see the WMD folks a lot. I really love their stuff. But I build it by having things going on and then using the performance mixer to bring things in and out. And also a quick shout out to 512 and Vector Sequencer. You perhaps saw in that sequence I just did, I had like a launch pad. And perhaps people thought I was like controlling a computer from that. I wasn't. That was all controlling the Vector Sequencer. So I had a lot of sequences that all programmed in, but I can trigger them from the Vector from the launch pad. So that was also a major part of the transition stuff, actually being able to bring in things without fiddling around with the actual hardware itself, just being able to, you know, touch a pad and able to take sequences out and bring new sequences in. That was actually a pretty major change in my workflow.
I'm tempted with the Launchpad. Mandy, Jungle of Wires, who was in here earlier, she and I are NerdSec users.
Yeah.
And she uses her Launchpad with the NerdSec.
Yeah.
And I've seen her doing that, and I'm kind of gassing over that too. Damn it.
Yeah. Well, as I say, as a launch thing and as a transition thing that we were just talking about, I think it's fantastic. I also had the NerdSec. It wasn't for me because I don't come from a tracker background, and I didn't find it intuitive to me. However, you know, the Vector is more traditional, and that works for me. So that, you know, it's horses for courses. I know people that think the NerdSec is the best thing ever, and I don't disagree.
It's just,
but
it's just,
it depends
it's
how your head works, I think.
Yeah. I like you don't have love for trackers, and I'm not super pattern guy. So it's like getting a NerdSec is kind of funny that that would work.
Yeah.
But for some reason, that sequencer works for me.
Yeah, whereas I
Um,
really struggled with it. I couldn't make it work, but
I get it. I mean, it's
but I
it's
look,
another
its
it's a ball of
features were
wax.
amazing, right? I get, I was shocked when I saw what it could do, including sampling and things like that, playback your sampling and stuff. It's a fantastic piece of kit, as many of these
Yeah,
things are nowadays. We're so lucky in the modular world. Some of the pieces of
yeah,
equipment we get are just amazing.
yeah. But sequencers are one of those things that it's like they're so personal, and I think everyone who sort of like DAW software that we all kind of pick one and learn how to really rock it.
Yeah, I mean,
But that vector is really popular. Yeah.
we were talking about the DAWs in one of the earlier sessions on the chat. People talking about Bitwig, and I've gone to Bitwig
Yeah.
recently being
Oh, really?
over the last 6 months. Yeah, I was like you. I started off in Cubase world when that Gas album that you mentioned was all done on Cubase, basically
Hmm.
in Matt, my buddy's bedroom and my bedroom. That's where we record it and everything. And that
Mm-hmm.
was all Cubase, but all Cubase on Ataris when Ataris were the only things. And
Cheers, man.
and then we moved on. I moved on to Ableton for many years, and I just recently moved
Mm.
into Bitwig. And the learning curve's been nasty. I mean, it's difficult
Really?
moving from a DAW, but I really love it. But as I was saying to someone on the chat, the problem is I miss some of the Ableton stuff, so I sort of end up in a bit of both, which is not a good way for workflow. You don't really want to be working in two DAWs if you can help
Right.
it. So, but yeah, I think Bitwig's where I'm staying for the moment for sure.
Is your way into Bitwig through the ES9?
Well, you see, the ES9 actually arrived this morning. So
Ah.
it's fired up, but it's not working. But there was an ES8 in its place earlier,
Okay.
which has gone to one of our friends in New York Modular Synth Society. Um, and yes, it was via the ES8 previously, but it will be via the ES9 from this point forward. Yeah.
Hmm. Talk about amazing piece of kit. I mean, you know, that ES9 is really something. The price and the size right now isn't something that I can deal with, so I'm just mixing straight in.
Yeah,
But that's a pretty powerful little thing.
it is, and you know what? I probably wouldn't have got it apart from life's change, right? I bought my rig and everything with full intention of playing out all the time, and then COVID hit, and playing out was no longer a thing. And I think, like lots of people, I've now morphed over this last 6 months into having a live rig that's also attached to a DAW, which I wasn't really interested in 6 or 8
Right.
months ago because it was too hard to keep taking it apart. Um, but now it's this hybrid thing where I want the DAW involved because there's certain soft synths that I use mainly for pads.
Absolutely.
But I mainly use this hardware here, but they need to be well synced and everything. So that's where the ES9 comes in.
Yeah. Yeah, I might have to be facing this situation because I'm, same way. I used VSTs or still do
Yeah.
VSTs in Cubase. That's where I can really sprint.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong
And
with that. I think you personally have gone through this. Should we? Shouldn't we? And there's no shouldn't we? Shouldn't we? It's whatever makes great music makes great music, right? And
Absolutely.
that's the way it should be. And so
Definitely.
I've got over
Definitely.
that. I did struggle with that for a while. It was like, oh, I can't be using the computer. I've got a modular, but that's just nonsense. You use
No,
everything you can.
I haven't struggled with that at all.
Oh, I did, but yeah. But
No.
I think that's because I was in the box a lot. Right from your intro, I went 100% in the box. I got rid of all my hardware, and then I basically didn't like it. It didn't have enough dynamic range for me. I know that sounds mad, but it just didn't. And but the hybrid world of having the hardware and having a little bit of the DAW stuff just works perfectly for me right now.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Man, every time I see you play, it's just such a jaw dropper. Can we just talk really quickly about your visuals?
Sure.
Because this is an important part of your show.
Yeah, it is.
How are you generating those? What's the story there?
Well, I'm not a visuals expert, but in a different world I'd like to be. I just simply don't have the time. I'm sure like lots of people watching this, we all like anything that's artistic, right? So I'd love to spend time doing lots of time on visuals and so on, but I don't have the energy to get into it as deep as I need to, or the money to get into it as I would like to do. So I spend time creating video stuff online. There's a few sites you can get. I've used Rotor Video and so on. They have sort of stock samples. You put them together, it can work to a beat. And so I use that, and then I overlay it with my own stuff in video software with like logos and things like that. And I tend to use that. It doesn't. It's not typically beat synced or anything. If there's something slow, I'll do a slower type video, and if it's a bit faster, I'll do a faster sort of video. But it's not beat synced. It's not meant to sync in time. But I do like if it's just light shows or even whatever. I like to have those things. As I say, if I had more time, I'd spend more time on it. But I think the two things go together. They go together for me, at least, you know. So I try to put effort into both of those things.
Well, what you're doing visually just works great. Yeah, yeah.
Thanks.
You don't need any more time on it. It looks great.
Well, we always all feel like we do, right? And we're never always satisfied with what we get.
Sure.
It helps.
Yeah.
I had to put like a big tarpaulin up at the window so that I could project onto it. I got a little cheap $80 projector to do that. So it's not an expensive thing. People can do it quite easily and quite inexpensively, you know.
An $80 projector?
Yeah, from Amazon. You just buy them you buy it on Amazon. It's $80. I projected it onto the thing as you saw, and I put a cloth across the window, and that was what you just saw. Yeah.
Would you please send me the link to an $80? Really?
I absolutely will. Yeah, you'll be shocked.
I will be shocked. I'm going to buy it.
I will send it. Absolutely.
Oh, man. All right. Well, thanks for this, man. It's just a pleasure to have you.
So it's my pleasure being here, and it's my pleasure talking to what a fantastic community we have here. I'm just so pleased to be a part of it.
Well, David, Soto, Sign Mountain, talks about how you're one of his favorite people on the planet. So I'm really happy.
And David too. I think we got into this at roughly the same time, although I'm much older than David. But we've been learning as we've been going along, and David's been a fantastic force here in Colorado. We're a little state, but we have a lot of people who do modular, and we're very fortunate to have WMD here, who are fantastic sponsors of everything we do. So,
the Colorado scene has just become very near and dear to me.
Well, Jono, we're looking forward to being here, mate. I have a fantastic bedroom suite downstairs. You can stay in there anytime you like.
I'm going to come out with my wife and daughters, though. It's not going to be just me.
Oh, that's fine.
I can't be crashing in there with the whole family.
Well, you sort of can, actually. But we'll talk about that offline.
Thanks, man.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Let's stay in touch. We'll talk soon, man. All right. What a guy. Brian Horsfield, the Aefonic, ladies and gentlemen. The Aefonic. Oops. I just quit Zoom. Or no, wait, did I? There it is. All right. I'm putting you back in the waiting room, man. Sorry. I was like, oh, I just quit Zoom. We got Norman waiting in Zoom. All right. Here we go. We're back. It's live. It's a live show. These things happen. All right. Moving on. All right. If you've joined us, I don't think you have. You've been here for the whole time. This is Modular World. My name is John O. Wells, and just thanks so much for being here. I just love this show. If you love this show and want to support it, I would appreciate that. I have a Patreon link that's in the description. If you want to support this show, please consider heading over to patreon.com. All right. Last and absolutely not least, Norman Kvek is Normandy Falls. He's in Austin. And let me talk about community, right? This guy. Okay. Normandy Falls blends ambient soundscapes with synthwave leads and techno backbone. Normandy started his musical journey in the early 90s, playing drums for various bands and DJing in Michigan, my home state. Who went blue? He uses primarily eurorack modular systems to create and mold his sounds, but also incorporates hardware synths and drum machines. His music has been described as patient, cinematic arrangements. Yes, it is. Having a fluidity and dynamics similar to water flowing. He was one of the founders of Modular on the Spot in Austin, Texas, until he moved to LA, where I met him. And he spent a year in LA working at Perfect Circuit and playing shows around there. He has releases on Oral Canyon from Austin, Audible Objects, Silent Records, and he was featured on one of the Patch CV records, which is amazing, and multiple self-releases that are all in the description to his Bandcamp. He can be found on Bandcamp, Spotify, iTunes, and all the other. He started with Eurorack in 2015 and with General Synthesizers in 2010. Full-length release scheduled for December 2020, which we're just going to talk about in a little bit. Okay, so without further, I don't like saying ado, anyway. Here's Normandy Falls.
Damn it, an entire generation pumping gas, waiting tables, slaves and white collars. Advertising has us chasing cars and clothes, working jobs we hate, so we can buy shit we don't need. The middle children of history, man. No purpose, place. Have no great new work, no great depression. Spiritual. Our great depression. Our lives. Our great voice is spiritual. Our great depression, our lives. All the raised on television believe that one day we'd all be millionaires and movie gods and rock stars. But we won't.
Oh, thanks, man. See, I always try to choose a good show ender.
Well, thank you. Thank
And
you.
it's just,
Yeah.
I always like try to go for the right?
Well,
Yeah.
man, this one, you know, all of the modular worlds are always great, but man, this was a hell of a show tonight. I have to say, cheers to everybody.
Seriously.
Great
Cheers to
performance
everybody.
tonight.
Yeah. So, man, another just compositional masterpiece. Like, you guys have these like parts and sections and transitions that are just, how do you approach?
You know, this one was a little bit different for me. You know, when we started talking about this, I really hadn't been playing music. I mean, the whole shutdown of everything really hit me kind of hard. And just really wasn't, you know, I'm more of a live artist than anything else, and not playing those live shows, I was like, man, just lacking some motivation. So, you know, this was great to get it back going. And, but at the same time, it was kind of hard because, you know, it had been a couple months since I'd even, you know, turned any of my equipment on. So with this one, I actually started with just some vocal samples on the Octatrack. And the nice thing, you know, about not playing live is that I could actually use all my stuff instead of, you know, usually when I play live, I'm like, okay, well, I want to condense it down to like, you know, a 12U, maybe a 6U and some Electron boxes or something like that. But, you know, I don't want to take the whole studio. So it was kind of nice to bring everything, and then I could really get going. And the sequencing for me, the Hermod changed my life for sequencing. I mean, when I got that, I mean, just so you can get so granular with it, I mean, you can go from, you know, whole notes all the way down to 30-second. And for me, for sequencing, I mean, that just changed the game.
You had some beautiful little ratchets on the second to the last part of on those little melody hits that were just like everyone was catching them. They were just lush.
Yeah.
Like you could do ratchets more than percussion, you know? It's like, I forget that, you know, those are beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah. And that was all on the Digitone, which, you know, I've had those. I got the Digitac and the Digitone almost a year ago, and it's really opened up like a new sonic library for me. I mean, I love modular, and will, you know, I primarily use modular, but having the control of the electron sequencing, I mean, is just crazy.
That's brilliant. And they interface really nicely with Eurorack.
Yeah, especially, I mean, I run, I don't do sequencing into the Eurorack. I mean, you can, and I will, like, I have a little palette case that sometimes I'll use like the Mutant Brain to put through and sequence over MIDI, but usually I just sequence clock to the Hermod. You know, it has MIDI built in, so just sequence the clock, and then everything's in time, and I have my Eurorack sequencers and my Electron sequencers. Right.
So most of the heavy lifting is done in Eurorack through the Hermod and out through the outboard Lee or whatever through the Octatrack.
Yeah, so like for this one, what I did, the Octatrack is the main clock source. I've got samples, and then I run everything through there so I can record, and, you know, I can sample it, and then that way for like transitions, I can play the recorded and then go back. And then I'll use the sequencer for the Digitact for all of my drums, the Digitone for some nice FM stuff, and then I have my modular all separate. So it's working with all of these separate pieces and then putting them all together in the end.
And I think our domain noticed you had the OG Elements.
Yes.
That big monster.
Yeah.
You didn't go for the knockoff one. You got the OG.
Well, I mean, yeah, when I got it, there wasn't the smaller version.
Right.
And I'm
That's
so
such a
used to
beautiful
it now.
voice. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those where, you know, you get used to it, and it's like, even though it would save some real estate to go with the smaller one, I'm used
You
to
would
this
feel
one.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would feel it. There's even, you know, some of the knockoffs are, you know, they're decently spaced. They're not like the Momo ones where they're just like unplayable, but you would feel it on the Elements one.
Yeah. I mean, and you know, all the mutable stuff, the pots are great. I mean, I love having full size. I like full size knobs instead of the little risers. I mean,
yeah.
It's, I don't know, for me, like, even though I know that the real estate is important, but man, I mean, it's having that full size makes a difference. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. A friend of mine here has the Atom, which is the Elements knockoff, and you know, he gets beautiful sounds out of it, but it's a pain in the ass to play.
Yeah.
You know. What's on the horizon for you, man? Now that you're all playing and juiced up and going.
Yeah. I mean, it's, you know, it's been pretty exciting. I was able to release 2 EPs this year, fully digital. They're up on my Bandcamp. If anybody that's into tapes, I do still have some tapes from my last release on Arl Canyon, arrangements of the Aquos. That's available on their Bandcamp. So if you're into tapes, definitely, you know, check that out.
That's great.
Got a release.
Now, what's this new release for December 2020?
Yeah.
What's going on with that?
Fingers crossed. Hopefully we're still on track. I mean, as of now, we still are, but you know, it's weird nowadays. I mean, a month away is a long time.
It's true.
So it's on Serendipia Records out of Barcelona, Spain. This is a pretty cool one. It's actually, it will be a tape release, and it's 2 20-minute compositions. And it was actually from right before we moved. So we moved from LA to just outside of Austin in the spring. And the last Mott's that I played in LA, this is the same patch. So I played the Mott's in March, went home and recorded the patch, and then mastered it and all of that stuff. And so now we're going to release it. So it's a pretty special one for me, because that was, you know, the last Mott's that I played in LA.
Yeah. Remember, I met you and Holly like just as you were leaving.
Yeah, like a couple days before.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like, great to meet you, man. We should hang out. It's like, actually, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Like, damn it.
Yeah. Well, and I missed you when we went down to, I played a San Diego Mott's back when Gunnar was putting them on. Yeah. And we missed you then.
Yeah, it was just before I was in.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, man, what a small world. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, like months later, I was running Mott San Diego, and Gunnar and the others who are now dear friends, they're just like, they're doing their own thing. They're not into it now.
Yeah.
Although now I'm not doing any Mott San Diego, so we're dark.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's been weird. You know, I mean, especially the modular community has always been more of a live community than anything else.
Totally.
And
yeah.
So, I mean, it's great to see that the community has adapted, though, and that we're still doing stuff. But man, I'm missing those live shows.
Me too. We're doing the best we can because we can't just die. I mean, we've got to keep, yeah, I mean, there's no question here.
Yeah, absolutely.
But live, yeah, there's nothing like live. And, modular on the spot too, like outside, the way in which those speakers sound outside with modular music. My God.
Yeah, there's nothing like it.
It's wonderful. It's funny, like all the rock shows that I either played in or produced or were part of, like hearing a drum kit outside, festival style, just always sounds like shit.
Yeah.
It sounds like garbage.
That's one
you
thing.
You do your best, and it just sounds terrible.
Yeah, I really think that's one thing, with electronic music is it translates better outdoors than
it's really good outdoors.
Your rock. Yeah.
And maybe oppositely, like, well, I mean, modular stuff inside sounds cool too, but rock music inside sounds great.
Yeah, Yeah.
You know, small clubs.
Yeah, it gets
Yeah, that's an
natural
interesting
reverb.
thing. Yeah. What is that? I mean, you wouldn't think that like electronic sounds would sound good outside. They'd get lost or whatever, but they sound great.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's got to be something with the tones, you know.
The frequencies, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not scientific, you know, enough to start talking like I know what I'm talking about. Well, man, it's just a pleasure. I wanted to have you on since I started this show, and I'm just so glad that we made it happen. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I mean, you know, like I said, this was great. I mean, it really got me back going again. Because you know, I think I recorded this. It was sometime during the summer, but since then I've just been like, okay, I'm back at it, like working again. So it's been nice to get out of that fog.
That's great. All right, brother. We'll stay in touch. Hi to your better half. And,
absolutely.
We'll talk soon, man.
All right, great. Thanks, man.
All right, Norman. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, Normandy Falls. Nice job, man. Well, my dear friends, we have come to the end of another wonderful ride on this very historic day. Thank you for joining. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, don't forget to hit that button, because then you'll know whenever we go live if you've missed the social media stuff, blasts about it. I think I'm going to be able to squeeze another show out in November. I think. I have 3 shows totally booked now, so we're into to January. So if I don't do another one in November, I think I'm pushing people a little bit too far who have sent in videos. So we're gonna try to get another one in 2 weeks, and then early December for sure. And then we'll go dark for the rest of December for some events that I can't tell you about yet. Yeah, thanks for watching. And God, all the people in the chat are just such dear friends. I love hanging out with you guys. All right. So we'll see you shortly, a couple weeks, and enjoy this wonderful historic day. All right. Bye, y'all.